Hi, good afternoon. I'm here with Ryan Noonan, the Manager of Military and Veteran Affairs for the University of New Haven. Nice to see you again. Hello.
Oh,
And
nice to you as
welcome to
well.
the U.S. Veterans Magazine. I
Thank you.
also want to congratulate the University of New Haven for being a top yellow ribbon and a veteran-friendly school. So that's a double honor there. So thank you so much for all that you do and offer our veterans. And today we'd love to get to know a little bit more about you and the school. So I'm going to go ahead and start here.
Sure.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, Ryan? Your current title, some of the responsibilities, and how long you've been with the university and all that good stuff?
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Ryan Noonan, Manager for Military and Veteran Affairs. I'm also an alumni of the university, Marine Corps veteran myself. So my mission really at the university is to, assist and support the student veteran and military affiliated student population, both on and off campus. With the help of a dedicated team of folks from our one-stop office, which is registrar, bursar's office, financial aid. We're here to advise, guide, support, all of these students, these military and veteran students at the university. And we're really available to assist at a moment's notice to address really a wide variety of needs and concerns that present themselves to these military affiliated students and student vets. So I came to the university as an undergrad student myself in 2018. I transferred from a local community college, got involved with their political science club over there. And then when I came to the University of New Haven, kind of wanted to still be engaged and be active in the community rather than just kind of being the head down, don't talk to me type, student veteran, which is understandable. But I got involved in the VA work study program. So I joke a lot of times with folks on campus about how long I've been here. So officially since 2018, but in 2022, I was hired to take over the role that I'm in now. So I just had my 3-year anniversary a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
Um,
great.
yeah, so
Congratulations.
thank you. But it was a right fit for me. As a student, it was the academic program that I wanted. And then I just found that working through the VA work study program, that I liked working with veterans. I seemed to be good at it. I found that I could be impactful working with them and guiding them through their education. So my goal is to, ensure that every student vet that I work with gets exactly what they want to get out of their education with us, and that they feel that somebody has their back, every step of the way.
Excellent. Now that we know a little bit about you, Ryan, and the fact that you're an alumni, so you kind of walked through their shoes. I also wanted to thank you for your service. Tell us a little bit more about your institution and why it's so important, and how does your institution support that process with the veterans?
Yeah, so there's a training that I run on campus for students, staff, and faculty, which helps the larger campus community create and maintain an inclusive and welcoming environment to any student veteran that comes to campus. And when we conduct this Green Zone training, we identify certain difficulties and challenges, that student veterans will face when they leave the military and then they come back to the civilian world. But we also identify strengths and weaknesses common amongst the veterans themselves. And when we identify these challenges, it becomes very, very clear that veterans very often prefer one-on-one advising from application to graduation, as I often say. When we have these advising sessions, or these impromptu meetings with them, we're not giving them cookie cutter answers or solutions. We're looking at the student veteran as a person, and providing them holistic support and advising that often extends just farther beyond just academics. We're looking at work-life balance. Work-life school balance, really. Do they have family support? Are they working while they're earning their degree? We're looking at and exploring options considering second and third order effects, like what happens next, what's going to happen down the line. And what I mean by that is when I have a veteran sitting across from me, either in person at my desk or via Zoom or Teams, especially as a prospective student, I ask, where do you want to be 5, 10 years from now? Or I'll just kind of joke with them to kind of break the ice. What do you want to be when you grow up? Kind of a silly question, but it helps to identify those long-term goals. And then we can work backwards and explore what gets you there the best way. And how can we help you be the most prepared for that long-term goal?
Excellent. So you mentioned, so many different benefits that you provide the students when they come in. Can you walk us through that process from application to graduation and why that continually matters? You kind of touched on it, but
Yeah,
that's what really kind of sets you guys a little different than others. And I want our readers to hear how you kind of walk them through that process.
of course. So when a student veteran or a military affiliated student, whether they inquire for more information at the university or when they formally apply, not only do they have a dedicated admissions counselor helping them through that admissions process, but I also serve as like a main point of contact for all things military and veteran related. I a lot of times get students that are just thinking about the military reaching out like I'm thinking about going into the Army or the Marine Corps, and I love having those conversations because it just allows me the opportunity to ask them questions that they might not have even thought about. But most often this relates to VA education benefits, right? Like, Chapter 33, post 9/11 GI Bill. But
Mhm.
regardless of whether they're eligible for VA education benefits or not, they're still included in my advising population. So, I'm assisting them, in deciding which VA education benefits might be right for them, and how to go about applying for them. And I'm also a first point of contact for them when they come to the university and are studying. I often tell them, if you need anything, you can always come to me and I will direct you to the correct people if I can't answer those questions myself, which at this point, I pretty much can't answer most questions for students. But just in case I need to make referrals, to the appropriate offices. But when they're getting ready to walk across the commencement stage as well, and when they get handed their degree, I'm one of the first people they see when they come off stage as a commencement marshal. So I have the privilege as well as, seeing them grow as people and students from, when they're first applying, not really sure what program they're looking at, and then all the way towards the end, when I can congratulate them on a job well done, congratulations on your degree. So, without hyperbole, I can really say that I'm with them every step of the way. Whether it's just students saying, hey, I need help registering for classes, or, can you check to see if my schedule meets VA credit hour requirements? Or, and this does sometimes happen, hey, Ryan, I just returned from deployment and I'm really struggling. Do you have a little bit of time to meet? The students are the lifeblood of our institution, and they're a priority when they come into the Military and Veterans Center here on campus, even for those unexpected impromptu meetings. I remember how stressful and confusing it was when I went back and not knowing which benefits to use. Did it a little bit of a different way. If I could go back, I might have used my benefits a little bit differently. And having those lessons learned, I can kind of impart that upon the student vets and just say, hey, this is how I did it. It worked to an extent. This might have been a better way for me to do it. Have you thought about that? So if I can do that with these student vets and make that whole process a little less stressful, that's what I'm going for. I just want them to focus on their education while they're here, rather than are my benefits good, but I am always here to answer those questions.
Well, I got to tell you, not only is the school lucky, the students are lucky to have you there, Ryan, because I know that I could have at one point used, someone helpful like that, but no, that's a blessing to have you there. And I know that not only do the students appreciate you, but the parents do too. And I wanted you just to kind of answer, why do you think that is? What gives families peace of mind?
Yeah, so what I just described, in the whole application from graduation, concept, it also extends to the veteran dependents. It's not just the student vets that will be dealing with me. We have ways that we can identify them, and they can, self-identify as being, military affiliated, connected to the military in some way. Going off to college can be very exciting for some of these young adults, like the new, the traditional first-time students, 18, 19 years old. It can be very exciting, but it also can be very, very stressful, being far away from home, or,
Sure.
meeting new people, difficulties socializing. Maybe you're an introvert, not too keen on like the group activities. Maybe mom and dad played a huge role in helping you apply to college and kind of were with you every step of the way. I think parents, especially military parents, find it reassuring that, I am available to their kids in ways that I described, when they might be from another state. Just as an example, 2 of my VA work study students this past spring were from California, way out there, almost as far, as you can be away from, your family and your support, network. So,
Sure.
I can only imagine what that's like from the student perspective. So I think parents also value that level of responsibility that I do encourage the students to take ownership of while they're here. Of course, there's certain VA things that they have to complete, but I always kind of make sure that they're, well aware of, at a certain point, you've got to do this stuff.
Right.
So, I kind of say sometimes I'm their senior drill instructor. I'm here to make sure you're taken care of, making sure that your education comes first and that you're progressing successfully. Earning a degree is tough. It's difficult.
Sure.
But most things worth doing are. But it doesn't have to be as tough as it could be because you have this support system around you. So
That's so true. So the final question we're going to ask has to do with, of course, success stories. And I wanted to know if you could share any with me, something we'd love to hear any type of success story that someone who's gone through the program and had some kind of achieved meaning to you.
I have probably too many. I don't have
I
enough
know.
time to
I
tell
can
you
only
all of them.
imagine.
Yeah. But there was one student in particular that comes to mind when I think of success stories, because when I first started interacting with him, it was anything but a success story. He was struggling in class, as a disabled vet. He was struggling. He was one of those students who was, trying to work to support his family. He did have a family. There were some issues with the faculty member. That's when I got involved and was like, well, something else going on here. Let me unpack this. And come to find out, he was also taking care of his father, who was in the hospital. So all these other external factors, led him to kind of, his academic success kind of falling off. And he's a grad student, so they have to maintain a certain GPA, and he was well below that. He was, I think, about it's like a 1.7 GPA.
Oh,
He was
wow.
facing academic dismissal. We got involved, had the conversation. We came up with an academic, improvement plan, so to speak. And he went from facing academic dismissal, having like a 1.7 GPA. He got no less than an A minus, a 3.7 GPA in every single
Wow.
semester from there on out. And he was our first RISE Student of the Year student veteran who won that award, because of how much he overcame, because of how much work that he put into it. And it was a really emotional night for me because we had that at our Salute to Service Award ceremony. I got to tell his story to staff and faculty, and it was just really special night just to see how far he came. And he had his entire family with him there. His mother, his father, who was in the hospital. So it was really great to be able to connect with them, and share my perspective on being able to witness and support him throughout this whole thing. So that's really the one that I think of the most, because, like I said, he didn't start out as a success story. He was really struggling. And we came up with a plan. And as a Navy SEAL buddy of mine says, you plan your dive and then you dive your plan. And that's what he did. And, he graduated with, I think, a 3.56 GPA. So
Fantastic.
yeah, he's a great guy, Jimmy. He's a great guy. And actually his daughter now goes here. So it's
that's
all
even
full
better.
circle.
Yeah, full
Absolutely.
circle. Well, I'm not surprised. I think that what you're doing is pretty amazing. Ryan, you need to be commended for all that you do and all that you give, because you are there not only as a veteran, but it's all heart and it's genuine, and you are paying it forward, and you are absolutely touching the lives of many, not only veterans, but families. And I think that as a school, to have someone like you on board really says a lot about the school and their support for the veterans. Together with someone like you makes you not only a top yellow ribbon school, but a top veteran friendly school. And it's very obvious for that. And I was really looking forward to meeting you and interviewing you today and hearing this all from you. And I just want to thank you for all that you do for our veterans and their families, and I can wish you the best continued success. Thank you so much for your time today. We're honored to feature your school in our publication and to feature all that you're doing.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.
Have a great day.
All right. Thanks. You too.